And good afternoon, everyone. This is Kilo Charlie 9, Victor Kilo Victor, and this is the Friday afternoon QSO-VLOG network. From now until 5, we record live, and if you have a radio you want to check out, give us a shout. We are recording now, and then we'll post it up on YouTube later, so you can go by and do a call letter search for KC9VKV, and that will take you to our QSO-VLOG page. Also today, we're running 4 Internet SDR receivers, monitoring Rochester, New York, Atlanta, Georgia, Alexandria, Virginia, and Milford, Pennsylvania, trying to get a better copy on our 100-watt friends. The audio of these 4 SDR receivers comes up on a 6-position rotary switch. Also on the switch is our local receiver. And today, our local receiver is running 2 10-foot vertical magnetic loop antennas. One aims north and south, the other east and west. The north and south mag loop can be rotated. They are selected by a 3-position rotary switch, and position 3 is a co-phase option that many times is 3 to 4 dB hotter than mag loop 1 or 2 by themselves. Well, those are our working conditions. How about yours? This is the Friday afternoon QSO-VLOG network, and as per usual, we'll check in and see if Charlie K1GZL is with us to give us the current day prognostications for the conditions of the band. Charlie, go ahead.
Okay, Jim, and good afternoon to you on this, I believe this is the 8th day, yes, 8th day of November. At 3:32 in the afternoon, K1GZL. Well, it looks like winter up here. The present temperature outside is 21 degrees Fahrenheit, 21 degrees. We're getting off and on snow, heavy downpours of snow. Then the sun will break out, and then we go back into that again. Yesterday we picked up 3 inches of snow. And today, so far, it looks like 2.5 inches, so the whole event has been 5.5 inches of snow. So, the low this morning with wind blowing, it was 17 degrees. 17 degrees, and the low tonight should be about 12 to 16, then slowly clearing toward morning, with a possible moderate snowstorm hitting us Monday night and Tuesday. So we may have our permanent snow cover for the season, although the weather is erratic to the point you never know. Okay, Jim, I'll turn it back over to you. And just to give you an idea, you're really coming in 15:20 over 9 direct from your location. Here it is.
Check in and see if Charlie K1GZL is with us to give us the current day prognostications for the conditions of the band. Charlie, go ahead.
Okay, go ahead, Jim. K1GZL.
Roger, Charlie. Well, I was receiving you about 10 over on my mag loop antenna, my north and south mag loop antenna, but then I checked out Rochester, and you were giving them about a 15 or so hotter, well, 15 over their noise level, so I switched over to Rochester, and just absolute perfect copy there. And it's amazing. I thought that only water would affect the resonance of a magnetic loop antenna, but as per usual, I usually Friday morning go out and double check the tuning for my 2 10-foot mag loop antennas, and well, gosh, it's it hasn't rained in a little while, and it's only the temperature that's really fluctuated lately, and that one my mag loop 2, which has been a problem child from the beginning, was running about 1.6 SWR, and I did tune it, and it went down to about 1.4, but usually I try to keep those around 1.2, 1.3. They, that's such a high Q circuit that, you really want to get that SWR down so you can take advantage of the very, very narrow resonance of that, mag loop antenna situation. So, like I say, you were coming in about 10 to 12 dB over my noise level locally. Roger.
Over my noise level locally. Roger.
Yeah, Yeah, that's great. That's great. I'm getting a little bit more output up on this frequency since it's gotten cold. Anyway, this is K1GZL returning. The amazing thing is when the temperature gets below freezing, I get a little lower SWR, and I get a little bit more output, especially up on this frequency. My antenna performs better when it's cold. However, when it's raining, it's not so good. Not so good when it's raining. Just for the heck of it, I'm going to cut my amp out. You can see how well if I'm coming in. I'll be down to 40 watts. 40 watts right now. Okay, Jim, I'm running 40 watts. I'd be curious how well 40 watts is coming in, and I'll put about 1350 out right now. Here we go. Okay, Jim, KC9VKV, K1GZL, and obviously propagation was good. It was wonderful into Australia this morning.
Roger, Charlie. Well, believe it or not, there was no difference in your audio modulation level. Your audio modulation level stayed the same, although there was an increase in the background noise. Probably went from about a 15 over to about a 7 over the noise, and then there was some fading, a little bit of fading, which with your higher power, you managed to saturate the signal enough that slight fading doesn't even show up at all. But when you went to reduce power, you could tell just a little bit of a fading situation, Roger.
Yeah, that's the way it goes. That is the way it goes. Propagation was right.
I was working E, and of course he's running stacked two stacked Robics, one at 70 feet and one at 130 feet. And of course that's E and VK3 Mexico, Ontario. And he's copied me solid on half a watt, although I've worked a few other VKs down there that have also copied me on a half a watt of power. That's as low as the 7300 will go. And that flabbergasted me because my antenna, I have no antennas that favor Australia except my 20-meter quad, 4-element quad with a quaggy horizontal director right out in front of the middle of the second director on 20 meters. That's aimed a little dot east of Australia, but close. Very, very close, and I've gotten some low power checks there. However, 20 is not that consistent in the early morning into BK like 40 is now. So 40 has really taken over the conditions. Right now, as I talk to you, light snow is falling. It's back out again, and yet at the same time, I can see the sun breaking through the clouds. We get these low clouds that hang over the area, and it's called upsloping. We have a wind from the northwest today, and that hits the hills to our west, and it rises up and squeezes out. Yesterday I climbed a ladder. I was up to about 24 feet trying to adjust ropes, and it was snowing hard. Just a little around noontime, and just 4 miles from here to the west, 900 feet lower, it was spitting snow with perfectly bare ground, and at that time we had already had 2 inches of new snow. So elevation is absolutely everything when you're in the mountains, Jim. Go ahead.
Oh, Roger, Charlie. Now, I did switch over a little bit to the Milford, PA SDR, and, for some reason I've been having to crank in a .06 a higher frequency than a straight 7188. And I'm not sure what that was, but I thought I detected last Friday that the frequency was coming back to maybe a little closer to 7188. So this afternoon I only cranked in 0.03 additional for Milford, and I noticed that it did sound off, so I went back and had to crank in another 303. So it's probably a 0.06 I'm running now on that SDR, but I did have to leave my air chair for a moment to go over and make a correction on one of my SDR internet receivers to make that modification. But anyway, finally got that frequency to, and what happens is when the frequency's not right, you know, the tonality of the voice either drops down or goes up depending on which way the frequency is off. So I forgot now exactly which way it was, but I know 0.06 cured the problem. Roger?
0.06 cured the problem. Roger?
Roger, if you were listening on 88 and you were listening on 0.06, my voice would have been down here, further down, I'm sure. That would have been the case. Well, this is great working you there. It's winter wonderland. The snow is pretty well on the trees here, and light snow is falling. I think we'll probably get another half inch today, bringing it up to 6 inches. So that means we've had just a little over 7 inches for the season, and that's way behind normal. Normally October you get 10 or 15 inches. We had none. Absolutely no snow in October, and I've been up here since 1982, and I have never seen that before. Well, look, Jim, I don't want to tie up the frequency here. I want to thank you. And let's hope we have good propagation next week. The fact we are on standard time means the skip is going to be averaging longer this time of day than it would have on daylight time. And of course, you're far enough out there in southern Indiana near Louisville, Kentucky, that it will increase out your way, but I might start skipping over Milford and Rochester in pretty short order. But obviously, propagation is good enough that it's making it. Okay, Jim, thank you very much. It's always a pleasure, and I certainly hope that you don't get too cold out there. I know it's probably sunny out there, and I would guess that you're going to see some very low temperatures over the next few nights. KC9VKV, K1GZNL.
Roger, Charlie. Yes, it is a little chilly this morning when I was out working on those mag loops, and I did notice the chill in the air, so I was trying to get the job done pretty as quick as possible. Anyway, thanks for the report on the band conditions and all that, and as always, a pleasure. So I'll say threes to Charlie, and we'll catch you maybe next Friday. Roger.
We'll catch you maybe next Friday. Roger.
Roger on that. Mike W. operating remote broke in very well. So if you want to work, Jim, for a while, I'll pick you up. Say you're down around 7150 plus or minus, Mike. Is that all right?
And good evening to you, Jim. Good afternoon. Name here is Mike. QTH here is in Monroeville, Pennsylvania, real close to Pittsburgh. I'm actually mobile, but I am cheating. I'm remote mobile. I'm running my Android phone, running my rig at home. I'm running a 7300 at home, and I'm running about 500 watts from the 7300 into the vertical. So I'll say good day to you, and then I'll QSY down to you, Charlie, down on 150. 73s, Jim. Have a great day.
Roger, Roger. Mike, like I said, I was copying Charlie on the Rochester SDR, and it's really strange because I thought you were there, but I couldn't hear you, so I went over to my local, and you just take my head off. It's amazing how the signals kind of proportion themselves in different directions, Roger.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. I have a location down in Weirton, West Virginia, which is only 50 miles west of me. And it is interesting to see just how well, I'll hear Charlie sometimes. I won't hear him in Pittsburgh, but I'll hear him Q5, if not stronger, just 50 miles away. So interesting conditions. And 73s, I'll let you go. Take care and carry on, and good to hear you, Jim. So we'll talk to you maybe next week. KC9VKV, Whiskey Alpha 3 Oscar, remote mobile.
Roger, Roger. Mike 3's that way. Your remote situation sounds really good. We've got that down to science, and beautiful copy there. And like I say, it just, it doesn't seem possible that I couldn't copy you, not a tad even in Rochester, but I flipped over to my local loop, and the signal was like 20 over my noise level. And I just had to grab I have a little trim pot that I just run all the time for the incoming, and I made a mad dive for it to bring it down, but I think we did have a couple of nanoseconds too hot of audio before I could get it. Anyway, 3's there, Mike, and you have a good day. Thanks for dropping by. This is the Kilo Charlie 9 Victor Kilo Victor QSO-VLOG network. From now until 5, we are recording live. And if you have a radio you want to check out, give us a shout. We'll post this recording up on YouTube in the next couple of days. So when you go to YouTube, just do a call letter search for KC9VKV, Kilo Charlie 9 Victor Kilo Victor, and that will take you to our QSO-VLOG page. And on that page, you'll be looking for one QSO-VLOG entitled My Group Aircheck 11/8/19, which is today's date. My Group Aircheck 11/8/19. This is the KC9VKV QSO-VLOG network, and we are listening.
November 5, Kilowatt Juliet 4, Zulu Mike Victor.
Well, there's Terrence. Hi, Terrence.
Hey, Jim, top of the good evening to you. Good afternoon to you there, Jim. Jim, I tell you what, man, you are just booming in here. I mean, beautiful, beautiful signal, very strong audio, and you're doing your thing there, Roger.
Well, likewise, sir. You're about 15 or 20 over. Once it gets past 10 over on a view meter, it's hard to tell exactly what it is. But just judging by the quietness when you're speaking, it must be somewhere around 15, 20 over. Roger.
Hey, Roger on that there, Jim. Well, good deal, my friend. Well, I tell you what, I'm working a new radio. I don't know if I told you, I got the FTDX 5000 MP Limited. And I'm having a great time with this thing, man, and I'm just hoping that everything is sounding okay there, Roger.
Oh, yes. And I was amazed that you've had that radio for, a couple of weeks now, and, you're just breaking it out. I would have had that thing on the air as I was bringing it in from the outside after having it been delivered,
Yeah, Roger on that. Well, I tell you, I did an unboxing, which is also on my YouTube page, KJ4 Zulu Mike Victor Ham Radio, and it's very interesting. It's fun. I'm just doing the podcast for fun, but I showed the unboxing of the radio. It's a big radio. I didn't know it was as heavy as it is, Roger.
Oh, Roger, that's a big radio there. A really big display too, I believe.
Yeah, it's got the analog display, which is pretty nice. I purchased the System Monitor 5000, and it comes with the stereo speakers, man, which really enhances the audio. The filtration in this radio is just phenomenal. It really is. So I'm just having a great time with it there, Jim. Jim, I'm not going to tie it up because I know there's some other stations out there, but I just really wanted to say hello to you. And, hey, just to let you know, too, that I was working a new rig there, Roger.
Roger, yeah, and everything's just perfect. Audio's perfect. You have about a 3 dB dynamic range. Audio EQ curve is just magnificent. So you got it going on, man.
Well, thank you, Jim. I really appreciate it, my friend, and you as well. Hey, happy Thanksgiving to you and your family, and we'll certainly look for you again. I'm glad we're neighbors, because I can hear you here from time to time. And just pull your shirt, tell a little. Hey, one day, man, when you got some a conversation with you about the magnetic loop antenna, it sounds very interesting, so I might be interested in actually trying to build one on this side. Take care, my friend. All the best to you there, Jim. Happy Thanksgiving once again. KJ4, Zulu Mike Victor, back to net.
Roger there, Terrence. And just out of curiosity, I checked the Atlanta SDR, and you were there, and I checked the Milford PA SDR, and you were there too. So, great going there. That radio is really doing a great job, and it looks beautiful. So you have a good Friday afternoon, a great weekend, and if you get a chance to join us next Friday, 3s, and we'll catch you later. This is the Kilo Charlie 9 Victor Kilo Victor QSO-VLOG network. If you've got a radio you want to check out, give us a shout. KC9VKV.
Whiskey 3 Alpha Papa Alpha.
Whiskey 3 Alpha Papa Alpha. What's the name, please?
Tony, we talked last week. I just wanted to thank you. I just heard my buddy Terrence. He got the same radio. We gabbed on the phone, and I checked out his website. Hi, Terrence. Anyways, I just wanted to say hi, Jim, and thanks for posting that video. I wanted to hear how my 5000 sounded, and I don't want to tie up anything here either, so have a happy Thanksgiving, and just do what you do. You're doing a fine job. W3APA, we'll be clear.
Roger, Tony. You got to the YouTube and checked out the audio?
Yeah, it was great. Yeah, and then there's another gentleman down south there. He's visiting his relatives. He's probably going to check in. He wants to hear. He posted that video up on our webpage on the club we belong to, Steel City, up there in Pittsburgh.
Oh, roger that. All right. Well, that's great, man. Thanks for dropping by. Like I said, that radio is just perfect. 5000 is a beautiful radio, Roger.
Yeah, thanks. Okay, I'll let you go. Like I said, I'll be listening here. Forgetting your call letters. Kilo Charlie 9 Victor, Kilo Victor, Whiskey 3 Alpha Papa Alpha. Happy Thanksgiving, holidays, and all that stuff. Catch you later.
Roger, Tony, 3's that way, sir. This is the KC9VKV and the Friday afternoon QSO-VLOG network. My name is Jim, KC9VKV, and I'm better known in some circles as Dr. VKV. But, anyway, if you've got a radio that needs, some work as far as the transmit tune-up, we do that. So give me a shout. KC9VKV.
Whiskey Norway 3 Delta X-ray.
Whiskey Norway 3 Delta X-ray. Was that a Roger?
Yeah, very good, Jim. Thanks so much. The call is WN3DX. Name is Jeff, and I'm in Pennsylvania. I'm operating remote from Cocoa Beach, Florida. Over.
Oh, really? Well, gosh. Do you ever feel like wish I was there?
Yeah, it's quite a bit different from where I left Pennsylvania the other day, just 2 days ago. Over.
Roger. So you're relaying from Cocoa Beach, Florida, Roger?
Yeah, I'm operating a Flex Maestro in Cocoa Beach, and the operating station is in Sinking Spring, Pennsylvania. And it's just inverted feed, about 60 feet, and the amplifier is a Telstar running at about 600 watts.
Roger, will you give me a 10 over my local noise level? I am copying you on my north-south mag loop, so that radio is doing you a real great job, Roger.
Okay, very good. Yeah, I'm just trying out a new Radio Sport headset, and I think I have it set up pretty well, and just wanted to get your thoughts on it. I listen to you here throughout the weeks from time to time, and with the new headset, I thought I'd jump in and see if I could get a good critical audio report from you. I'm running about, on the low end, the transmit filter is 100 and the high end 2900. I'm running some processing and on levels, fairly low at about 30 right now. Over.
Oh, Roger, Roger. Sounds pretty good. I did notice some plosives. So what you might want to try to do is move that mic a little further away from your mouth and make up the difference in your ALC or in your mic gain and consult your ALC when you do turn up to make the difference in proximity. Roger.
Okay. Yeah, very good. I just made that adjustment. That clear that up? Over.
Roger, Roger. Now, did you consult your ALC to with your mic gain to bring it up a little bit, maybe?
Yeah, I did. Let me move it up a little more. Hold on. Okay, yeah, bumped it up right to about 42, right around 42, over.
Roger, Roger. And moving the mic a little bit further away from your mouth, you are into the bass build-up proximity effect situation, so the further that you moved it out, I think your EQ got a little bit better. Your bottom end rolled off a little, and your top end might have been accentuated just a tad by moving it further away, and it really helped the plosive situation, Roger.
Okay, very good. Yeah, I appreciate it. Thanks so much for the report. I'm real happy with this headset. It's the little travel headset that I take with me when I go back and forth, and it works on the iPad and the Surface as well, but I prefer using the Maestro when I'm remote. That way I've got almost the same feel that I have whenever I'm in front of it in Pennsylvania. Over.
Roger that. I detected just a minute amount of plosive. I'm assuming that you already have a windscreen on that mic, Roger?
I do, yep, already. Yeah, there's a windscreen on the microphone.
Well, you might think about possibly either moving it further away, which how far away are you now with that mic?
Right now about 2 inches.
Roger, Roger. Well, 3 inches, or maybe that you could get another windscreen and just put over the other one. That usually doesn't result in any awkward frequency response characteristics for the frequency range that amateur radio is going to be using, but it does further reduce the mouth noise and transients that one picks up. Roger?
Yeah, very good. Yeah, when I get back, I'll give that a try. I have a couple windscreens that I picked up that I use for an ICOM SM30 microphone that fit over that head, and that should fit right over this one as well, and we'll give that a try. Over.
Roger, Roger. That will be perfection if you could do that. Really sounds good, Roger.
Okay. Well, very good. Well, thank you so very much for picking me up and for the report. Always enjoy listening to you and appreciate what you do. So I'll say 73s to you and let you go work some other stations. And again, thanks so very much. KC9VKV from WN3DX. Over.
Roger, Roger, Jeff. 3 Z-Wave, sir. Have a great afternoon and a beautiful weekend. This is Kilo Charlie 9, Victor Kilo Victor, and this is the Friday afternoon QSO-VLOG network. If you've got a radio you want to check out, give us a shout. We are recording now, live till 5, and then later we'll post it up on YouTube. So all you have to do is go to YouTube and do a call letter search for KC9VKV, and that will take you to our QSO-VLOG page. And on that page, you'll be looking for one special QSO-VLOG entitled My Group Aircheck 11/8/19, which is today's date. My Group Aircheck 11/8/19. And right now we have about 800 QSO-VLOGs on our page on YouTube. Not on one page, but on that location. So, like I say, if you get a chance, drop by and check out our QSO for today, and maybe you'll find some other QSOs that you might find interesting. It's always interesting to listen to other people's radios and see, if you like theirs better than yours, or you still like yours better than theirs. It's always that thing of subliminal. As you listen to them, you have a certain attitude or feelings about their audio, and that's what audio is all about. It's a way of communicating that is defined. I mean, it is what it is, and obviously in amateur radio, there are probably as many setups as there are amateur radio operators. Everybody has their own idea. And so you just, this is it's kind of a melting pot of ideas right on this frequency as we do the Friday afternoon QSO-VLOG. This is KC9VKV, and we are monitoring.
November 4.
Well, gosh, about 7 stations. I think there was a November 4?
November 5.
November 5, that's what it was. Go ahead. Give me your call sign slowly, phonetically.
Sure. This is November 5, Juliet, Echo, Delta. November 5, Japan, England, Denmark. Operator here is Chuck, Charlie, Hotel, Uniform, Charlie, Kilo, and I'm located in Northeast Ohio. Northeast Ohio. You have a very nice signal on your and very nice audio on your end. So back to you. I believe it's Kilo Charlie 9, Victor Kilo, or Uniform Kilo Victor. But please correct me if I'm wrong. Back to you.
Roger, it's Victor Kilo Victor. And looking at your audio, just curious, you could use a little fattening if you might be interested. What radio are you running, sir?
Running ICOM 7300.
All right, I've got somebody wanting to tune up on a frequency that's in use. Please do not tune up on an active frequency. Go 3 up, 3 down, or further, but do not tune up on an active frequency. So, Chuck, what is your situation as far as your compressor? Usually we recommend about a 3 on the compressor. Engage the compressor at about a 3. Roger?
Roger, mine's about a 1.
Yeah, I would move that up to about a 3. At a 3, it will be unnoticeable, and that's the whole idea, because you don't want, a bunch of compression just sucking up all kinds of things around you, and then the cat and dog fighting, and the wife beating the kids in the back room. So a 3 keeps it, starts the fattening process, but it's not really an excessive level. Roger?
Roger. Could I have your name, please?
Roger, name here is Jim, Juliet, India, Mike, and this is KC9VKV, and we are located near Louisville, Kentucky, just across the Ohio River from downtown Louisville. Roger?
Oh, Roger, I know the Louisville area fairly well. Took Army basic training many, many decades ago at Fort Knox, Kentucky. So, yep. Those are some memories. Most of them good, but some of them not too good. Okay, back to you, Jim.
Roger. So if you wanted to the fattening up, we would start with the compressor at a 3.
Okay, let me do that right now.
This is Kilo Charlie 9 Victor Kilo Victor, the QSO-VLOG network for Friday afternoon, and we're with Chuck right now as he's working on his 7300.
All right, Jim. KC9 Victor Kilo Victor N5JED. It's on 3 now. Do you notice any difference?
Just a little bit, but the whole idea is just the beginning of it, the fattening process. The next thing would be to go to your ALC with one hand on your mic gain and adjust your ALC to where the meter is running mid-scale to 2/3. Again, go to your ALC with one hand on your mic gain and adjust the mic gain to where your ALC is running mid-scale to 2/3.
All right, we'll do that. All right, making any difference?
Working on it there. You now, when you talk, look to be sure that you're running that. The sweet spot is halfway between mid-scale and 2/3. Roger.
Roger.
So tell me about your antenna system, and let me hear your audio.
Okay, the antenna system is a Buckmaster off-center fed dipole. It's up about 11 meters, 33, 35 feet.
8 meters. it's a very good, really.
Many dipoles, but I didn't make this one, but it works very well, and it's a quality product. And the power I'm running right now is about 300 watts. 300 watts on an Ameritron ALS 606S amplifier. So back to you, Jim.
Roger that. And do you know how to get to your tone control, or EQ?
No, I don't know how to do that.
All right, take notes. When you find your tone control, what you want to do is increase your top-end EQ by about 3 dB. 3 dB hotter than where you currently are on your top-end EQ, your tone control. I think they call it your treble control. Roger?
Okay, treble. Yep, I know. I can find that easy enough.
Roger, Roger. That'll put you a little brighter, and that will help out a whole bunch when you're in somebody else's noise level, because without brightness and articulation in your audio, when you're battling noise neck and neck, if you don't have a definition in your audio, it just becomes, you can hear the voice, but you can't perceive the words because they don't have, very much articulation on the curve. So with a little brightness, that really helps out a great deal on folks being able to hear what you're saying. Roger?
Okay, Roger. It all makes sense. We'll give it a try. We'll see what kind of reports I get. And I do appreciate the information, Jim. Thanks very much. And I was listening before the previous QSO. You said we can look this up on YouTube under QSO-VLOG, or is it QSO-VLOG, QSO-VLOG, or is it something else, Jim? Over.
It's go to YouTube and do a call letter search for Kilo Charlie 9 Victor Kilo Victor, and that will take you to our QSO-VLOG page. So you do a call letter search for KC9VKV once you're at YouTube, and that will take you to our QSO-VLOG page. And when you get to that page, you'll be looking for one specific entity called My Group Aircheck 11/8/19. Today's date. My Group Aircheck 11/8/19. Roger?
Roger, that's pretty clear direct. Look under your call, YouTube, look under your call. It'll then look for QSO-VLOG, and then look under My Group Aircheck 11/8/19. Did I get it correct, Jim? Over?
Yes, sir. That's perfect, and you should be able to copy the mail on that, and then you'll hear a little bit of what we did, and then when you get to your EQ, the main thing is consult your owner's manual and become familiar with that. And what I would do, I would write out a cheat sheet about how to get to certain things, like my EQ, my tone control, as they call it, also my ALC, which you know how to get to there, and your mic gain, and you know how to get to there. So just write those cheat sheets down, so when push comes to shove, you can get to where you need to go, and without having to read the whole book. Roger?
Okay, well, thank you very much for the information, and every day when you get up, you don't know what you're going to find out new, and I found out a few things new today. So appreciate the QSO. And what is my? Could you give me a signal report? What is? Am I coming in pretty clear to you, Jim? Over.
Well, unfortunately, I've got some poor lost soul out there that just consistently wants to tune up on this frequency, and I've asked him very nicely if he might move off an active frequency and go elsewhere to tune up, but apparently, he can't grasp that. But anyway, your signal Chuck is 10 over my noise level. I have to give it to you like that because I run a very reduced RF front end to the point that I could never give you a real estimator reading, but I can say that you are 10 dB over my local noise level, Roger, which is a nice signal.
Well, Roger, Jim. Thanks very much. And you are likewise. You're probably 15 over on my estimator. Okay, won't keep it. Others probably want an opportunity to pick your brain as to how to improve their modulation. So all the best to you and yours. And thanks very much again. Kilo Charlie 9, Victor Kilo Victor, November 5 Juliet Echo Delta, saying 7-3. All the best, and back to you for the final.
Roger. This is KC9VKV and the Friday afternoon QSO-VLOG network, and thanks so much, Chuck, for joining us. If you get a chance, maybe join us next Friday, and we'll compare notes and see what you've been up to. And if you have found your EQ by then and how to adjust it, then we'll take a listen and maybe offer some suggestions. Well, I think you're going to crank in about 3 dB more top-end EQ or treble control once you find the way to San Jose there, and then we'll give us a shout next Friday, and we'll see what it sounds like. I think it just should sound just beautiful. This is KC9VKV, and this is the Friday afternoon QSO-VLOG network. If you've got a radio you want to check out, give us a shout. KC9VKV. My. About 6 there. Well, I would just say the loudest one. Try again.
Kilowatt 4.
There is a Kilowatt 4 station out there. Come back with your call sign slowly, phonetically, please.
Yes, Kilowatt 4. I'm sorry, Kilowatt 4, Juliet Papa. Kilowatt 4, Japan, Portugal, in Venice, Florida. Over.
Yes, Kilowatt 4, Juliet Papa. What's the name, sir?
Yeah, Jim, my name is Eddie. Echo, Delta, India, Echo. I'm down here in South Florida. Running a Flex 6400M as a Mary. Driving a 8410 amplifier, and the antenna's a Mosley Pro 67BA. It's up 55 feet on a crank-up tower, and I'm sitting right here on the beach. Wonder how my audio sounds up there just north of, what did you say, Louisville, I believe it was, over?
Yes, sir, and I am moving around here. I'm monitoring 4 SDRs, monitoring Rochester, New York, Atlanta, Georgia, Alexandria, Virginia, and Milford, PA. And I did move down to the Atlanta SDR, and you're doing about 15 over in Atlanta. Roger.
Roger.
Roger, well, you're about 15 over down here in Venice, Florida. I wonder how the audio sounds up there to you, over.
Nice audio. It doesn't have a lot of bottom end, but then I don't usually like a lot of bottom. Usually, the mids and the upper to add definition to your audio is always a good idea because, there's a lot of things that can happen to your signal along the way. You start out with a nice signal, and Mother Nature says, well, you know what I'm going to do? I'm only going to reflect a portion of your signal right off, and then a little bit more of your signal just a little bit later. So what happens is one comes down and then the other comes down slightly out of phase, and it starts to cancel your audio, and it starts to cancel from the top frequencies down. So that's why you need to have a nice bright signal, because sometimes you will lose a lot in the translation courtesy of Mother Nature. Roger.
Of Mother Nature. Roger.
Roger, Jim. Yep, I understand that. Well, I just went through the setup on this thing here, let's see, this last week on Monday, and I was wanting to check and see what it sounded like on your end. I know what it sounds like on this end, and I've checked the sensitivity and everything with my service monitor, and
The receive end is fine, but the transmit end, I like to know what it sounds like a distance away. So you're a good opportunity to check and let me know. Over.
Roger, Eddie. Well, I might double check on a couple of things. We do recommend running that compressor at about a 3. It's a token amount, but it is the beginning of the fattening process. So about a 3 on the compressor would be the beginning of our fattening process, Roger.
Yeah, my processor is, our compressor is sitting on about 2.5, so I can bring it up half of another notch, no problem at all, and that might improve it a little bit. I just didn't want to hit it too hard. I'm using a Heil 781 mic going into the transceiver, and it seems to be a pretty good match from what I'm seeing. Over. Hello?
Roger. Yeah, we're just recommending about a third of the possibilities of the compressor, So 3 out of 10, 30 out of 100, about a third of the possibilities on the compressor. Then we would move to the ALC. If you brought your ALC meter up and with your hand on the mic gain and just speaking in your normal radio voice, adjust your ALC to where it's reading mid-scale to 2/3. Mid-scale to 2/3 on your ALC by adjusting your mic gain control.
Okay, very fine. Yeah, I've done that. I'm sitting just a little bit past the half, so I'm not up to 2/3, but I can move that up. I'll do that when we finish here and get another report. But yeah, I can do that. That'd be easy. I'll put that down here as step 2. Over.
Roger, because that is what you're looking at on your ALC meter is the output from your limiter. And what you're doing there is that is where your crunch is happening, because what you want to do, unprocessed audio is about 10 dB dynamic range. Dynamic range is the difference between the loudest and the softest portions of your speech pattern. So, like when you're not processing at all, your dynamic range is about 10 dB. So what we want to do is to pull that dynamic range from 10 dB to about 3 dB. And we do that through lightly using the compressor and running your ALC between mid-scale and 2/3. And that will bring you usually up to 80 to 85% of average peak modulation, Roger.
Roger, Jim. Yeah, thank you for the suggestion, and I'll crank that thing up a little bit while watching it and watching the ALC and making sure I don't hit it. I usually run the ALC to where it just starts flickering and don't hit it any harder because I don't want to overdrive and start splattering. Over.
Yeah, no, you want to stay out of the red. You don't want to be in the red. Like I say, just run it between mid-scale and 2/3. And the other thing would be your audio EQ. Now, I seldom suggest doing anything on the bottom end, because of mud. But I think in your situation, I would give you 2 suggestions on your EQ. The first would be to adjust your bottom end bass EQ up one click boost on your bass EQ from wherever you are at the moment, and then I would go ahead and add two clicks boost on the treble. That would help your top end. So right now you're kind of a little mid-rangey, so we just want to add just 1 click on the bottom end and 2 clicks on the top end to try to expand your audio just a little bit. Roger?
Roger, I could do that, Jim. No problem at all. See, I have an equalizer in here, and I can adjust the different frequency ranges also. But I'll adjust the bottom end 1 click up and the treble 2 clicks, and see how that works here after we finish up. Over.
Roger. And if you get a chance, give me a shout back, and we'll see what's happening. Roger.
Will do, Jim. Listen, thank you very much for the info. You and the family have a big turkey day coming up, and appreciate the help. And season's greetings from down here in South Florida. KC9VKV from K4JP in Venice, Florida. A very good evening.
Roger, Roger. Eddie 3's that way, sir. Thanks for dropping by. And like I say, you make those changes on your EQ and give me a shout back, and we'll compare notes. 3's for now. This is KC9VKV and the QSO-VLOG network for Friday afternoon. If you've got a radio you want to check out, give us a shout. We'll post this recording up on YouTube in the next couple of days. So when you go to YouTube, just do a call letter search for KC9VKV, and that will take you to our QSO-VLOG page. And on that page, you'll be looking for one specific QSO-VLOG entitled My Group Aircheck 11/8/19. Today's date, My Group Aircheck 11/8/19. This is KC9VKV listening.
VKV listening. Echo Mike Alpha.
November 2, Bravo, Zero.
There was an RFK out there.
FK out there?
KN4 RFK, Kilo, November 4, Romeo, Foxtrot, Kilo.
All right, let me, let's start. What radio are you running, sir?
What radio are you running, sir?
West Virginia. You talking?
Stand by, West Virginia. I'm in QSO with RF. We never got it squared away. Sir, what is the call sign again?
Sir, what is the call sign again?
KN4 RFK, Kilo, November 4, Romeo, Foxtrot, Kilo.
Okay, sir. Gosh, tell you what you might want to do, first off, is consult your ALC. Bring your ALC up, and with mic gain in hand, and adjust your ALC to run mid-scale to 2/3. Right now, that ALC is somewhere in Never Never Land. Your audio is very, very hot and distorted. So go to your ALC with mic gain in hand, and adjust your ALC to run mid-scale to 2/3. Roger?
To 2/3. Roger.
This is KN4 RFK.
Yes, I was talking to you, sir. What's the name there?
Talking to you, sir. What's the name there?
KN4 RFK. Do you copy KC9VKV?
Copy KC9VKV.
Copy, Roger, Roger. This is, my name is Tony, Louisville, Kentucky.
Well, Tony, I'm just across the river from you, buddy. I'm over in New Albany. And gosh, your audio was really broken up. You were really pushing your audio level into your ALC, Roger?
Level into your ALC, Roger.
We'll try this. This is KN4 RFK.
All right, now we're coming along here. We have what radio are you running, sir?
Yeah, what radio are you running, sir?
I've got a 7300. I got this thing. I've only had it for about 3 weeks now, so I'm just trying to figure it all out.
Roger that, Roger that. Well, do you know your way around it? Do you know how to get to your compressor? We have a setup procedure for the 7300. It starts with the compressor being engaged at about a 3. If you know how to get to your compressor and adjust it for a 3, Roger?
For a 3, Roger.
No, actually, sir, I do not know my way around it, but I will figure this thing out, that's for sure.
All right, let me give you a couple of 3 suggestions. First off, when you find your way around the 7300, go to your compressor and engage your compressor at about a 3. Turn your compressor on and adjust it to about a 3, about a third of its capabilities. It's not anything that you'll ever hear on the air, but it is the beginning of our fattening process. So after you get your compressor engaged at a 3, move to your ALC. Move to your ALC meter, and with mic gain in hand, adjust your ALC to read mid-scale to 2/3. I'm thinking you're going to be taking notes on this. So, like I say, go to your ALC and adjust your mic gain to your ALC is running mid-scale to 2/3. Roger?
To 2/3. Roger.
Roger, Roger, sir, and I am copying this, and it's 3 on the compressor and 2/3 on the ALC. Roger, Roger.
Absolutely. Now, your mic is, your EQ is kind of thin from the EQ standpoint, so I would add about, well, to be on the safe side, maybe a dB on the bass boost. 1 dB on the bass boost, and maybe about 3 on the top end on your treble control. About +3 clicks more EQ on the top end treble control than where it is now, and about 1 dB boost more on the bass EQ from where it is now. Roger?
From where it is now, Roger.
Roger. I'm running an SM30 on the mic, so yeah, I'm just trying to figure it all out, sir.
Oh, Roger. Well, you got you figured most of it out. You've got the best radio, one of the best, in my estimation, the best. But the 7610 is just a little more interesting than the 7300. But for the best for the money is I think the 7300. But my personal choice, Roger.
My personal choice, Roger.
Roger, sir, and I appreciate your help. And like I say, I am trying to figure this thing out. I've been reading the manual and everything. I've only had it 3 weeks, and I'm totally, I love this radio. Back in.
Roger. Well, that is a very complex radio from the standpoint of, when you consider all the receive capabilities and adjustments. I only deal with that radio pretty much on the transmit side because that's all usually we do is a tune-up on the audio for the transmitter, and so I'm not really too much inclined to understand all the receive capabilities, but I do know it's a great radio, and if their receiver is anywhere near like their transmitter, that is all the more reason to have one, Roger.
To have one, Roger.
Roger that, and I've been trying to figure out the the receive part, and I've not really looked into the transmit part, but it's going to be my next endeavor. So thank you, sir, for your help, and 73 to you. This is KN4RFJ.
Roger. And the last thing I would suggest is to be sure and run that radio in the widest possible passband. You want to be running 100 to 2900. Make sure you're running 100 to 2900. There are some more restrictive passbands, but what happens is primarily you're just rolling off the top end, and for intelligibility you want all that you can be, and that means running that radio 100 to 2900, Roger.
2900, Roger.
Roger that, 100 to 2900. Copy that. Thank you, sir. KN4RFJ.
Roger, 23 is that way, sir, and you have a good day, a great weekend. If you get a chance, join us next Friday when you crank in those EQs, and we'll take a listen. We are the QSO-VLOG network from 3:30 till 5. We're recording all the time, and if you want to hear what your radio sounds like now, if you would go to YouTube in the next couple of days and do a call letter search for Kilo Charlie 9 Victor Kilo Victor, that will take you to our QSO-VLOG page, and on that page you'll be looking for one special QSO, which is today's QSO, and it's entitled My Group Aircheck 11/8/19. My Group Aircheck, today's date 11/8/19. Roger?
Roger.
Roger that. KN4RFK. We're clear.
Roger. This is KC9VKV, and this is the Friday Afternoon QSO-VLOG Network. My name is Jim, KC9VKV. I'm better known in some circles as Dr. VKV. And we are recording now live till 5, so if you've got a radio you want to check out, give us a shout. This is KC9VKV.
9VKV.
Whiskey 4, Uniform Charlie Kilo.
Whiskey 4. Come back and give me your call sign again, please.
Whiskey 4, United Charlie Kilowatt.
Roger. And what's your name, please, sir?
Jim, I'm in North Georgia.
Roger, Jim. Meet another Jim. This is Jim KC9VKV. Your signal is just beautiful. I'm copying it on my 10-foot mag loop antenna, and you look to be about last time I looked, about a 15 over, Roger.
Roger. You're about 20 over down here. May I, there's a lot of QSB, though. You took a big dive a minute ago. May I make a suggestion?
You may.
When you say to go to half to two-thirds of the ALC scale, I understand what you mean. But some people might misunderstand that to mean take it up into the red zone. So if I may most humbly make a suggestion, half to two-thirds before you get to the red part of the scale.
Roger, I usually tell them to stay out of the red, but we are talking, and gosh, if they made that mistake, I would hear that immediately.
Yes, that's true. If they do it at the same time that you're talking with them, I've been listening for a while. It's been very enjoyable, and there certainly can be a lot of audio improvement to a lot of people's signals. What do you think of mine?
Well, what radio are you running?
Kenwood TS890 with an alpha.
Roger. I usually suggest that we start the fattening process with the compressor and just a token amount, 3, a third of its capabilities, a 3 out of 10, 30 out of 100. Roger. And once we have that compressor at 3, then we would move to the AOC, and again, we would adjust that from mid-scale to two-thirds, being obviously staying out of the red, but running it mid-scale to two-thirds. Roger?
Roger.
And then tell me a little bit about your antenna system, and I can hear your audio.
It's a Mosley Pro 67B. Which covers all bands from 10 to 40, except 30. And it's at about 72 feet. I'm at a good elevation here in the Georgia mountains, about 1,950 feet. So that's the station.
Roger. Well, sounds good. I do have a suggestion for you, and this is like in, trying to keep that audio as best as possible. A lot of it resolves back to us as operators. So what I suggest is turning your watt meter around to where you can see it as you speak, and put your watt meter in the PEP position. And so it will move fairly quickly. And then as you speak, observe where that meter is going. There's a sweet spot there where you know what it is, and that's where you want to keep that needle moving, right in that sweet spot. And so that has to do with you working the microphone. And if you pull off mic like that, you'll see that meter drop down. So you want to use that watt meter just like a VU meter. Roger.
And this microphone is very pattern intense. If you pull off of the microphone or turn away from it, it really loses audio quickly.
Roger. I work mine lip contact to the microphone through a windscreen. I find that just there is no pulling off the mic. It's right there, and I'm looking at a VU meter, so I know exactly what I'm doing. And if you do work tight mic like that, it does prevent any background noises from coming through, like the cows mooing in the back 40, or the wife and the kids and the dogs and the cats and all that stuff. So you do have a much cleaner signal the closer you work, but then you must use a windscreen, and I do suggest all operators use a windscreen regardless of how they work the microphone, because that is your insurance policy to never ever have any mouth noises, plosives, or whatnot with the windscreen. Roger?
Roger. It keeps the pops out of Peter Piper.
Roger, but there are transients that are other than P's, and B's, and I've heard some that were so loud, the mouth noises were so loud, that the operator was actually QRMing his own self.
I understand. Yeah, this is a Heil Pro 781, and I do have the foam sock on it. It's not a windscreen.
but I do have foam socks.
Roger. Well, that would be a windscreen, a foam windscreen, wouldn't it not?
Yeah. I think of the windscreen as the round object that hangs in front of broadcast people.
Roger. Well, that's a little overkill. The foam windscreen does so much better because there's no way that you can work around it. You have to go through it, regardless of how you approach the microphone. Theoretically, with the actual windscreen jobber, you could get up underneath it or around the edges of it, or but the foam windscreen, there's no way around that.
Roger. I understand.
All right, and so I think we got you there. If you would be interested in copying the mail on your audio, if you go to YouTube and do a call letter search for Kilo Charlie 9, Victor Kilo Victor, that would take you to our QSO-VLOG page. And on that page, again, you would be looking for a specific Aircheck entitled My Group Aircheck 11819. My Group Aircheck 11819. Roger?
Roger. 7-3, my friend. I hear your phone ringing in the background. I appreciate your comments. You take care. W4UCK.
Roger. Give me that W4, what was the rest?
United Canada, Kentucky.
I have that. And Jim, the name. Roger?
Roger.
Thank you, sir. Threes to you. And if you get a chance, join us next Friday. We are on the air between 3:30 and 5, and always glad for folks to drop by and say hello.
Well, thank you. I've enjoyed listening. It's educational, and I'm sure it helps an awful lot of people.
Well, we try. I figure now we're right at about 800 QSO-VLOGs, and I think we've done probably about 160 7300 tune-ups and about 50 or 60 7610s. So we trudge on, Roger. This is KC9VKV and the Friday Afternoon QSO-VLOG Network. If you've got a radio you want to check out, give us a shout. KC9VKV.
Kilo 2, Lima, Charlie.
November, Alpha.
Lima, Charlie, what's the front?
Good afternoon, Kilo 2, Lima, Charlie.
Roger, what's the name, please?
The name is Linwood, Lima, India, November, Whiskey, Oscar, Delta. And we've chatted a few times before, and you've tuned up this ICOM 7410. Roger. Well, have you been getting many salutes?
Yes, thank you very much. And I just, it's the Friday afternoon and time to check in and tell you have a fabulous signal down here in central portion, Virginia. And thanks for what you're doing to help us all out.
Roger. Well, let me see where I am here. I'm on my local receiver, and that last transmission, I was copying you on the north-south 10-foot magnetic loop, and you were about 15 over. Let me try. I have two other positions. I have an east-west, which I would have thought might have been a little bit hotter, and then I have a thing called a cophase, where I actually put the two together through a cophase harness, and many times I wind up with a 3 to 4 dB hotter signal in the cophase position than on either one of the mag loops by themselves. So Linwood, come back and tell me a little bit more about your antenna system, and let me move around here on these mag loops and see what I can do.
Well, I realized a few moments ago that I had my compression on from when I was trying to do a little DX work earlier, so I have turned it off. I am on an 80-meter Wyndham antenna that runs diagonally across the house. It's ICOM 7410 and a little small Tokyo high-power amp. So that's a little bit more. I suspicion that cutting the compression off did make a difference, but if you need me to cut it back on, I'd be glad to do that.
Oh, yeah, you went very, very loose in your modulation. Your average peak modulation dropped to maybe 30% as opposed to 80 to 85. So is that an outboard compressor or inboard?
It is an inboard compressor, and I cut it back on, and you actually helped me tune this one. So hopefully it still sounds good to you.
Roger. Moving along, have you checked your ALC? Now, did you haven't changed your mic, right?
It's the same microphone, and my ALC is, well, this thing moves all over the place, but yeah, I've got my ALC, I think, tuned up now.
Roger. So you're running mid-scale to 2/3 on your ALC, Roger?
I'm actually running almost 1/3.
All right, bring it on up to mid-scale to 2/3. Fatten that up. You want to be a 3 dB dynamic range with an average percent of peak modulation 80 to 85%. And you can just get that if you're running mid-scale to 2/3 on your ALC.
All right, there's that up where you had suggested. How is that sounding now?
You sound a lot fuller. Now, you want to be sure not be into the red on your ALC, but run mid-scale to 2/3, and there's like a sweet spot there, about halfway between mid-scale and 2/3 that is exactly where you want to be, Roger.
Roger, thanks again so much. Well, I won't hold up because I'm sure there are a number of people who would like to chat with you this afternoon. Thanks again. Hope you have a great weekend and the rest of your day. K2LOC.
Roger, and keep that compressor in because, like I said, you really did thin out when you turned it off. You went down to instead of 80 to 85% average peak modulation, you went down to about 30%. So keep that compressor engaged, Roger.
Roger, thank you. I certainly will. Thanks again. Have a great day.
Roger, 3's that way, and if you get a chance, join us next Friday. This is KC9VKV, the QSO-VLOG network for Friday afternoon. If you've got a radio you want to check out, give us a shot. KC9VKV. Gosh, there was 3 or 4 that time. There was a loud one, but maybe too loud. Come back with a call sign, that loud one.
Alpha Bravo 9, Papa Romeo.
Papa Romeo, I think it was. Give me your call sign one more time, please, sir, slowly, phonetically.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon. It's Alpha Bravo 9, Papa Romeo, QSL.
Okay, give me the front part again, or give me the whole call sign one more time.
Alpha Bravo 9, Papa Romeo, over.
Roger. And whereabouts are you located, sir?
I'm located in Libertyville, Illinois, in the northern suburbs of Chicago.
Roger that. And what's the name?
I go by Derek. Delta Echo Romeo, India, Charlie Kilo, Derek.
All right, sir. And what radio are you running, sir?
This is a Kenwood TS570D. And I'm using an Ameritron 811H amplifier. Over.
Oh, roger that. I just went to the Milford, PA SDR, and you're sounding really beautiful there. So I'm gonna hold right there. And tell me about your antenna system for about 10 or 15 seconds.
Okay, Jim. Very good. Well, first of all, thank you for taking my call today. Antenna is a 43-foot ground-mounted vertical with 60 radials underneath, and it has an MFJ auto tuner at its base. Over.
Roger. Well, I'm getting a lot of quick fading and moving up and down there, but I do have the tuning procedure if you would like to investigate a little fatter signal, and it does start with the compressor engaged at about a 3 token amount, but it is the beginning of the fattening process, Roger.
That's a menu pick, so let me bring that up here. I think the default was. Let me just pull it up here. I'll stand by and I'll set it and call you back.
All righty. Would this be a minute or 2 minutes or 5? Do you have any idea?
Jim, I think I lost you there. You were way down in the noise. How does this sound?
Things are coming and going there. I was monitoring you on the Atlanta, Georgia SDR, Roger. I think I may have I may have faded out there. I know I no longer copy you on my local antennas, so maybe this is just a temporary derangement of Mother Nature. Maybe she'll come to her senses and bring back our signals. This is KC9VKV.
sounding good up in Ontario on the mobile, Jim. V3 PCP mobile.
Mobile, up in, is that around Ontario?
Yeah, QSO, it's is that Charlie Papa Mobile. Just want to let you know you're still sounding good up here, QSO.
Roger, that mobile's coming on down. What kind of power are you running on that mobile?
Just 100 watts. What kind of power are you running on that mobile? On the roof, and we've spoken a number of times before, QSO.
Roger that. Yeah, I'm copying you real well on the Milford PA SDR. So whereabouts are you traveling from and to?
I am on my way home from work, and I'm near a place called Kincardine, Ontario, which is on the shore of Lake Huron, about 2.5 hours northwest of the city of Toronto. And I've got a friend of mine that's going to try and give you a call. His call is Victor Echo 3, Victor Charlie Golf. His name is Marvin. He's a fairly new hand, so he wanted to try and get through to you as well this afternoon, QSO.
Oh, Roger. I am copying you about 10 over to 12 over on the Milford PA SDR. So I'm assuming you guys are kind of in the same neighborhood. Is that a Roger?
Roger. Yeah, he's at home in a little town called Paisley, so he's probably about 15-20 miles away from me. So he should be able to get through to you, I think, I would imagine anyway.
Oh, Roger. Okay, this is KC9VKV, ready for the other Ontario station. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Hello.
Well, I heard somebody on the Atlanta SDR. Who is that?
Atlanta SDR, who is that?
Gosh, is that the Ontario station I'm looking for?
Ontario station I'm looking for.
Well, the mobile, I had a copy on you, but I'm not copying the other gentleman. Roger.
Roger.
2 meters told me to get back on there and give you a shout, so he may try again in a few minutes. Anyway, I'm destinated here, Jim, so I'm going to say 7-3 for now. Thank you very much again for being there, and we'll talk to you again another Friday. KC9VKV, V3 PCP mobile.
Roger, 3Z-Way, sir, and we'll catch you later. Have a great weekend. This is KC9VKV in the QSO-VLOG network. If you've got a radio you want to check out, give us a shout. KC9VKV.
KV.
Station with Alpha in the call sign. Come back and repeat the call sign slowly, phonetically.
Phonetically? Victor Pacific 2. November 8, Echo Mike Alpha.
I got November 8 and then something Mike Alpha. What's the missing call letter?
Letter. Echo Mike Alpha.
Echo Mike Alpha. Roger, what's the name there?
What's the name there? Good afternoon, Jim. Name here is Jeff. Juliet Echo Foxtrot. And just about 20 miles east of Cincinnati. It's along the Ohio River.
Roger, Jeff. Now, we do have a fattening process that might help you in general. You're running that compressor much too hot. You want to adjust your compressor to about a 3. Engage that compressor at about a 3, because you don't want to be sucking up cows mooing in the South 40, you know. You want it to just be lightly in there doing its job, but the thing is, if you hear a compressor working, it's too loud. I shouldn't say too loud, it's just adjusted too hot.
It is currently at a 3. 2, my treble at a 3. My mic gain's about 40, and I'm running about the high end of 2/3 of the scale, not into the red, though.
All right, give me about 10 to 15 seconds on your antenna system, and let me see if I can find you on my local mag loops. Roger?
Roger. Okay. 100 watts currently, and I'm running 130
3-foot end-fed long wire. I've got it off the back deck into a 130-foot tree.
See the slope attitude.
Roger. Now, you know, the SDR is compressed, so it's really hard to adjust or hear the actual signal. The best way I found is if I'm on my local antenna, I know exactly that there is no compression of the signal, but these SDRs do have a tendency to compress. So what I'm thinking is, you know, the main thing is that you have your compressor at a 3 and your ALC adjusted by your mic control to where you're running mid-scale to 2/3. Roger?
Roger. Roger.
That's exactly where I have it.
Roger that. Roger that. And maybe let me tell me about your radio and something you like about your radio for about 10 seconds. Yeah, maybe, sir, I'm sorry, the frequency's in use. And so station, maybe give me just a little bit more audio than that, Roger?
More audio than that, Roger. Okay, there's a little bit more audio for you. And I'm going to just a little bit, right about there. That'll put me down between half scale and 2/3. And see if that maybe cleans it up just a little bit. You know, it all depends on who you talk with. Some people say it sounds great where I have it, and the next person said it doesn't sound great, so it's kind of, you know, everybody has their own sound.
Roger. Well, like I said, I am the only way I can copy you is through an SDR, the Atlanta SDR, and you know, I can't be sure about their compression on the receiver, the AGC. But I tell you what, you know, there's a way that you can check out your own compression as to whether it's too much or not. If you key down and watch your watt meter, and if your watt meter creeps up to a large amount, then you have too much compression. Do you understand what I mean there?
Yeah, do you understand what I mean there? I sure do.
So if you key a dead key, you know, for about 5 seconds, look where your watt meter goes, and if you see your watt meter rising up like a half an inch or an inch or so, you've got too much compression, Roger.
Too much compression, Roger. Okay, I just did that just now, and it's less than maybe 2 watts is what it's showing. I did have a fan running in the background in the window here. I turned it off, and maybe that'll clean up a little bit.
Oh, Roger, yeah, that sounded a lot better before. You know, I'm sitting here watching your audio on a VU meter, and before it was creeping up there to like a -3, which is, you know, maybe 50% modulation, Roger.
Modulation, Roger. Okay, that could have been the fan causing that. Yeah, like I said, Jim, I set it, the compression set at 3. I'm 2/3 scale on the ALC. I'm running +2 on the base, +3 on the treble.
Roger, Roger. Now, an excellent test. I'm starting to get, for some reason, some QRM off the edge of the frequency. So, are you familiar with your EQ?
With your EQ? No, I can't say, in this radio, I can't say I am.
Roger, Roger. Well, if you get a chance, and you're still running that same mic, you might want to brighten your audio up just a tad, maybe a couple of clicks, a more top-end EQ. Roger, Roger.
EQ, Roger, Roger. Okay, when you say brighten the audio up, you mean just bring the treble up a little bit?
Exactly. A couple of clicks from hotter than where you are at the moment, Roger.
Where you are at the moment, Roger. Okay, I just turned it up. It's actually...
Roger. Okay, and then give me about 10 seconds of audio and let me hear you.
Seconds of audio and let me hear you.
Okay. I've got right now the transmit base is at a +2 of 5, and I'm running the 100 to 2900 in the wide setting, and my treble is set at the highest level, which is a 5.
Roger. I would pull one off of the base end. I would go -1 from whatever your setting is on the bottom end, Roger.
On the bottom end, Roger. Okay, that's been done. That's a +1 now on the base.
Oh, Roger that. Roger that. Well, I think we got it going on there. Maybe run it like that for a while and see if, who all salutes, Roger.
Who all salutes, Roger. I will do that. I used to run the hand microphone on here and switched over to the desktop microphone and had a lot of issues trying to get it to sound good. So, all right, I'll let you get back. Maybe you can grab another one or two before your time's up, because you're getting real close here. We'll talk to you again. N8EMA, just outside of Cincinnati. You sound much better than when you came in. W4UV. Thank you.
Is everybody catching that blow-by on I guess there are maybe 2 KC off this frequency or so?
Yeah, I can hear you, Jim.
Yeah, I don't want to move around to look for it, but, sometimes folks just don't have very good comprehension of exactly what they're doing. To move in within 3 KC of an operating network is not the smartest thing to do,
Yeah, they're on 189, Jim.
Roger. Closer than what I thought. I gave them a bit of a doubt, but 1 KC, that's, I should be nailing them pretty good, because I'm a full 3K for sure. So if they want to operate there, that's up to them, but it's not really smart. And I would suggest probably you might want to move downriver a few clicks or upriver a few clicks, because there is a lot of trash floating around, and it does make for very difficult mail copying, particularly when we're trying to get some good signals recorded, so folks might be able to hear their audio in the cleanliness of and the sanctuary of a nice received signal, which we have gone out of our way, receiver-wise and antenna-wise, to assure that we will get the best recording possible. But we have to factor in the other folks that do have problems, and we would suggest maybe they might move downriver a few clicks so we don't copy each other's QRM. And we have been on this frequency for the last hour and a half. So there you go. This is KC9VKV and the Friday afternoon QSO-VLOG network.
Kilo Bravo 0, 50 Kilo.
Kilo Bravo 0. Come back with the call sign.
Kilo Bravo 0, 50 Kilo.
Roger. What's the name there?
John.
See, and where are you, sir?
Iowa.
In Iowa. My goodness gracious. We don't usually go north. I'm trying to think. Maybe I'll check one of the SDRs, see if I got a better copy on you. Come back and talk to me for about 10 or 15 seconds, and let me see if I can find a better radio for you.
Okay, well, using a butternut protocol with my bank card, and maybe 12 years old, probably I haven't fixed that now. When the wind's going to blow when I want to set it back up again. I'm using an ICOM 7600 I got a couple years ago. Is that enough chatter?
Yes. I've got you best on my local antenna, my local mag loop antenna in the co-phase position. I have two 10-foot magnetic loop antennas, and they run separately, or I do have a co-phase position where I put them together, and many times I'll pick up 3 to 4 dB hotter signal, which is what the case is on this one running in co-phase. I'm copying you probably about 6 or 7 dB above my noise level. Roger?
Well, you're real clear. You're clear here on my radio. So I get that. It's hard to fit in the mic. I noticed I talked off the side and I jam my voice in my monitor, my earphones. I have a headset on and monitoring. But sometimes if we don't talk about my straight, I don't hear myself really well. Back to you.
Roger that, roger that. Well, let's see if we can fatten you up a little bit there. First, suggest that you engage your compressor at a 3. Turn that compressor on and run it at about a 3. Roger?
Okay. How's that sound there?
All right, we're coming along. Now go to your ALC meter and with the mic gain in hand, and adjust your ALC reading to where your ALC meter is running mid-scale to 2/3. You want to be sure not to be in the red, but you want to run that ALC meter mid-scale to 2/3. Roger? And let me hear you when you get that.
How's that sound now?
All right. Tell me about the best thing you like about your radio.
It's better than what I had before. I was just cleaned down, so I see number screen I got on set up. That's better. Yeah, it's been a nice radio. I mean, it ain't whatsoever. It's pretty nice. I've been enjoying it. I haven't like maybe 3 years at least, but about 3 years old.
Oh, Roger. Well, I think it's sounding a little fatter there. You know, that's the whole thing about trying to get your modulation up to about a 3 dB dynamic range from a 10 dB. Unprocessed audio runs about a 10 dB dynamic range, and what we're looking for is to get that signal up to about a 3 dB dynamic range, which increases the average percent of peak modulation from about 30% to about 80 to 85%. Roger?
The contact. I'm going to put on the compressor, see if it makes a difference. You know, I was on the compressor now. Is it a little bit louder?
Yeah, you should be. That is in your compressor engaged, Roger?
It's engaged right now. I hardly ever use the compressor. I really almost never use the compressor. So this was a few times it made the first time I used the compressor to talk to anybody.
Roger. Well, see, the compressor is designed to be used. The question is how much. In my tune-up procedure, I engage the compressor, but only at a 3. So you never hear it working. You will never hear it working or pumping or sucking up between words, but it does begin the fattening process. Roger?
Roger. Well, I think it's better to you. So I listen to talk to the other people on the program, and so I'm going to see if I can follow him along and try to set my radio ahead of time, pretty much. But I think it's a one set to a 3, but I haven't gotten into the menu that's rated that much at all. So if I can do it virtually, get into the menu, I just turned it on, and plugged it in, basically, long time ago.
Roger. Well, I'm hearing you a lot better. Your signal's a lot fatter. So let me give you some notes real quick because our time's running out, but I'll give you some notes and you can jot them down if you've got a paper and pencil. Again, your compressor should be engaged and at about a 3, about a third of its capability, a 30 to 100, or a 10, oh, hang on here. A 30 if it's a 0 to 100, a 3 if it's 0 to 10. So just about a third of its capabilities. Roger. And then go to your ALC and adjust your ALC to where it's running mid-scale to 2/3 by using your mic gain control to adjust the ALC. And then I think you'll be there. There was a break station in there just a little bit while ago. Station, are you still there?
Jim, it's VA3VMD. I just want to let you know I went up 1 KC and informed them that they were interfering with you, Roger.
Oh, thank you so very much. I appreciate that, sir.
Yeah, no problem. I know you're almost done, so I'll let you finish with that station. Maybe you got 2 minutes for me. I'll get back to you, Roger.
Roger, give me a shout there. And station out there, where was it, in Iowa?
Yeah, Iowa, Muscatine, Iowa. I was just wondering, I have filters I can go to by just push the button on the front of the radio, 1, 2, and 3. I'm on filter 2, which is really in the middle of them, but not too loud, not too wide. 3 is soft and real narrow, and of course the 1 is a little bit wider, but I've been running on the filter number 2. Does that matter also?
Roger, what you want to be is you want to be all that you can be. So on your band pass, you want to be 100 to 2900. You want to run that radio 100 to 2900 on band pass, Roger.
Roger, I have to find that. I have to dig in the radio to find the different programs to change it to what you want me to go to. Right now I'm just, it says filter 2 with the frequencies I'm on and my waterfall, so and scale above for the meters, so that's all I got now. I have to get into the radio to do all this stuff. That I'd rather wait to get done, and then I'll go into the radio and dig into it a little more.
Roger, well, you're now at 10 over. You're the best station that I ever copied the mail from Iowa, so you're doing a great job. If you get a chance, join us next Friday and check in. We run 3:30 till 5. If you want to hear your audio from this recording, if you go to YouTube and do a call letter search for Kilo Charlie 9, Victor Kilo Victor, that will take you to our QSO-VLOG page. And on that page, we're running about 800 QSOs now, but you'll be looking for one specific QSO, and it's entitled My Group Aircheck 11/8/19, which is today's date. My Group Aircheck 11/8/19. Roger?
Roger, I got your caller's zone written on a piece of paper. I got your website, what was it called, from QSO, so that sounds good to all of you. And my voice isn't great, I noticed that, but at least I'm getting through.
Roger. One other thing we kind of recommend is that you take your watt meter and turn it to where you can see your watt meter when you're speaking, and put your watt meter. You have 2 adjustments on your watt meter, 2 positions. You have an RMS and a PEP, and you want to put that watt meter in the PEP position so it moves fairly quickly as you speak. And so as you speak, you're looking at your watt meter, and what you want to do is to try to keep your words on that meter at the sweet spot. You want to keep that meter moving and peaking right there at the sweet spot as best as you can. Roger?
Roger, writing things down as you talk, so I had to put my pencil on push the mic button.
Roger. And I think that'll probably wrap it up for right now. Again, if you get a chance, join us next Friday, 3:30 till 5. Roger?
Roger. It's interesting, and I hope to help me get out better than before, so thanks a lot, Jim.
Roger, yes. I think your dynamic range has been reduced from fairly loose to a fairly fat signal, Roger, and I think your average peak modulation is about 80 to 85%. So 3's that way, and we'll catch you later.
Okay, I'm trying to tell myself if it's not both, don't fix the leave the dawn buttons alone. Back to you.
Well, in general, that's true, but sometimes you need a little setup there. And once you get it set up, then by all means, don't make adjustments, Roger.
Roger, I haven't got into the bass and treble stuff yet, so maybe I just not go there, just leave it alone, okay?
Roger, yeah. Or, like I say, if you get a chance, give me a shout next Friday, and we'll pursue it further, maybe. 3's for now.
737, nice afternoon, late afternoon.
Roger. Other station, this is KC9VKV.
Hey, Jim, VA3, VMD, Vito in Toronto.
Vito in Toronto. How you doing? Always catch you up, Roger.
Roger. I just moved over to the Atlanta SDR. You're doing great there in Atlanta, Roger.
Yeah, thanks, Jim. We're up here just north of Toronto. I just got back from Sarasota, Florida, running some remote there while I was there, and
300 going here, and about 620 watts going through the ACOM 1010. Roger?
Roger that. And what mic are you running there?
I'm running the high OICM microphone, and I got the treble at 0 and the bass at +3. I think that's how we set it up last time we spoke. So unless something's changed, it should be okay.
Roger, Roger. If you're up for an experiment, just try cranking about 3 clicks more on the top end. I'm just curious what that might do. +3 from wherever you are now, top end boost.
Okay, so that's 0 and 0 on the bass, +5 on the treble. Over.
All right, and tell me about your antenna system.
Yeah, well, we're running a high-end fed antenna. The apex is up at about 35 feet. It's sloping down to the feed point, and it covers 40 through 10. Over.
Roger, I like the new setting. Nice. You have a little brighter signal, a little brighter sound. Increases the intelligibility level. Even after an hour and a half of being on the radio, I could hear the difference when you shifted up, Roger.
Roger, Roger. Okay there, Jim. Very good. Yeah, no, I went up the 1 KC there, and I broke in, and they told me the frequency was in use, old man, and I went, well, and they just kind of ignored me, so I waited till they finished. And then I told them, well, before you call me old man, perhaps you should realize that you were interfering with QSO that was going on for about the last hour or so, and he just quite didn't say anything after that, and basically left the frequency. So, sometimes I said you got to give somebody a chance to explain.
Yeah, Roger, I really appreciate that. It's a kind of a thing where I would have done it, but you really can't do it when you're controlling a network, Roger.
You're controlling a network, Roger. Yeah. He goes, well, we've been here. I asked if the frequency was in use, and I said, well, your frequency wasn't in use, but 1 KC down from you was being interfered with, and they've been on the frequency for at least the last hour, if not more. So he just kind of piped up and shut down after that.
He was referring to the old man's network. He wasn't getting personal.
Hey, Roger. All right, well, I have been turned into a pumpkin for the last 10 minutes, Roger.
Roger. Okay, Jim, well, listen, we'll let you go. It's Vito again. We've talked many times, so we'll let you clean things up and clear off, and we'll look forward to listening to you next week again there, Jim, Roger.
Roger, Vito, and you are 8 over the Atlanta, Georgia SDR noise level. 8 over the SDR, Atlanta, Georgia SDR noise level. So great signal, man. Great signal.
Okay, Jim, thanks a lot. We'll see 73 TGIF, and have a wonderful weekend, and we'll look for you next week sometime if we're around. So we'll be clear with you at VA3 VMD. We're going to QSY out of here. Have a great weekend, Jim. Keep doing what you're doing.
Roger, buddy. Thank you so much for the assistance. 3's that way. Have a great rest of the day and a beautiful weekend. And if you get a chance, join us next Friday. We always love to hear you. Booming station up there in Ontario. 3's that way. This is KC9VKV, and we want to thank everybody that participated in the QSO-VLOG for this Friday afternoon from 3:30 till 5. And again, if you want to check out your audio and you did participate, if you go to YouTube and do a call letter search for Kilo Charlie 9 Victor Kilo Victor, that will take you to our QSO-VLOG page. Right now we're running about 800 QSO-VLOGs, but you'll be looking for one specifically entitled My Group Aircheck 11/8/19, which is today's date, 11/8/19. So with that, we'll say 3's all. You guys have a great weekend, and this is a Kilo Charlie 9 Victor Kilo Victor, and we'll be clear.
Thank you, Jim.
Roger.
Thanks.
Roger.
Hey, Jim.
Thank everybody, and we'll catch you next Friday.